The Equal Rights Amendment just simply states that the rights of citizens under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on the basis of sex. The second section simply says that Congress has the authority to enforce this. And the third section gives the timeline that this will take effect 2 years after ratification. So it's really the first section, very succinct, about non-discrimination under law based on sex. That was the crux of the ERA. So theoretically, it sounds very innocuous. Who would be against this, right? The problem that we'll see throughout the course of the ratification of the ERA was this turn from a single issue campaign about a theoretical principle that most people would embrace into an ideological war about traditional values, traditional gender mores. Many of the anti-ERA activists saw this as an absolute unmooring of society as we know it. So it became heated very quickly and is no longer a simple single issue campaign. It first entered debate in the Nevada legislature in the spring of 1973. So nationally, it had passed out of Congress finally after 49 years in March of 1972. But because Nevada has a citizens legislature that meets biennially every other year, we meet in the odd years. So in 1972, even though the ERA had passed out of Congress and now is going to the states for the necessary ratification process, no discussion was happening for nearly a year in Nevada. Meanwhile, various entities across the states had plenty of time to start organizing. And I'll talk about that later, namely Phyllis Schlafly and the Stop ERA group. But in Nevada, there was no discussion of it until our legislature convened in 1973. And typically, there'd be a joint resolution. It would be introduced in the Assembly and in the Senate. And what happened in the first session was really moved for no further motion discussion. So it languished. Meanwhile, people are starting to educate themselves on what is this Equal Rights Amendment? What's it all about? So I would say the first session was really kind of an educational period. We were lagging behind. We weren't ready to really hit the debate as informed individuals. But in that first session, Jean Ford was an assemblywoman. And so she became a voice for the passage of the ERA very early on. Again, the composition of the Nevada legislature, given the demographics of our state, we have, I wouldn't say a large Mormon presence, but certainly it was a large Mormon presence in the legislature. So key positions in the legislature, whether majority leader, head of various, the Finance Committee, Ways and Means, these were headed up by Mormon males. And they weren't typically the type of individuals that would espouse for passage of the ERA.